Hey, hi, hello. We're a little, I don't know, we're a little close, but most of this video is going to be my screen and I'm going to minimize myself anyway, so don't look at me. But welcome back to the channel. It is Banned Books Week, so I thought that I would talk about it. So it's Banned Books Week, October 5th through 11th, 2025. The theme of this year is Censorship is so 1984, which is so cute. Actually, do they have merch? Because I would buy that. Like, I would look into that. But anyway, I'm going to read this quickly. And then I wanted to look. This is from the American Library Association, their website. And I'll link it down below. And so I'm going to read some of this. And then they have their top 10 challenge books of 2024. They have their State of the Libraries report, which will also be linked below. And then I have another website that has even more banned books, because actually there's so many that are banned or challenged across the United States. And yeah, I just want to review it because I know like some, but I don't know like the top ones. See what I have read, haven't read, and then maybe get ideas for books to read going forward. So the American Library Association and Banned Books Week Coalition are pleased to announce the theme for Banned Books Week 2025. Censorship is so 1984. Read for your rights. Banned Books Week will take place this week, October 5th through 11th, 2025. With the escalation in attempts to ban books in libraries, schools, and bookstores around the country, George Orwell's cautionary tale, 1984, serves a prescient warning about the dangers of censorship. This year's theme reminds us that the right to read belongs to all of us, that censorship has no place in contemporary society, and that we must defend our rights. The 2025 theme of Banned Book Week serves as a reminder that censorship efforts persist to this day. ALA President Cindy Hole said, "We must always come together to stand up for the right to read." Yes. So the majority of book censorship attempts now originate from organized movements, pressure groups, and government entities that include elected officials, board members, and administrators initiated 72% of demands to censor books in school and public libraries. The 120 titles most frequently targeted for censorship during 2024 are all identified on partisan book rating sites, which provide tools for activists to demand the censorship of library books. So this launched in 1982 in a response to a sudden surge in the number of book challenges in libraries, schools, and bookstores. And so American Library Association offers a variety of free downloads, resources, and materials to support Banned Book Week activities. So they have posters, they have poster, bookmarks, and other materials. Okay. They do have a store. Do they? I want this on a sweatshirt. I would buy that. Damn. It looks like they only have like bookmarks and like posters, because I would get this on, I need that on a sweatshirt. Actually, who can I get in touch with? Because I would buy that. And obviously then the money would go to the ALA. That's great. So in their top 10 most challenged books of 2024, of course, this is them looking back at the last year. Let's see, just to include this, because they said 72% of demands to censor books in schools and public libraries are coming from elected officials, board members, and administrators. Parents only accounted for 16% of those demands. I think that's crazy. So our top 10, All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson, which they claim to be sexually explicit. It is a queer novel. I think, is it a memoir? I have heard of this book. I haven't read it. I need to add it. I always hear wonderful things, and this is one that I am familiar with. This seems to come up on every list. Same with Genderqueer, which is a memoir. I think I've made a video about this because I remember this coming up again. It has queer content, so they're saying it's sexually explicit. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Depiction of sexual assault, depiction of incest, claimed to be sexually explicit. Okay, well, it's Toni Morrison. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I know of this book. I don't think I've ever read this one. And so I was not aware that this was one that was so high up on banned lists. Tricks by Ellen Hopkins, also not familiar with this one. I think a lot of these usually are in the young adult category, not always. I think I've heard of Ellen Hopkins before, but I haven't read any of their novels. Looking for Alaska by John Green. Did I read this one? Because I've read of his fiction novels, The Fault in Our Stars, of course, and then I read another one, and I don't remember if it was this one or something else, but shocked that that's here. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. We're seeing a common theme of claim to be sexually explicit. Crank by Helen Hopkins. Ellen Hopkins. Okay, I've heard of this one. So maybe that's what how I'm familiar with Ellen. Sold by Patricia McCormick. I am not familiar with this. Flamer by Mike Curato. And again, they all have the same, we have similar themes here. So those were their top 10 most challenged of 2024. They're also, I'll link, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I'll link it if you want to read it. It's not super long, but this is the State of America's Libraries snapshot. And so it has all of this, like what libraries face, like the challenges. Don't believe the hype. Libraries of all kinds remain essential to their communities. Top 10 challenge books. Censorship by the numbers. Ooh, let's go down there. So the top 10 books that we just looked at. Censorship by the numbers. So we see this, again, only 16% of the people who are challenging these books are parents. The challenges are taking place 55% in public libraries, 38% in school libraries, 5% in schools, and then 2% higher education or other. And the books that they are trying, 76% are books, graphic novels. This is all in censorship attempts. So the majority of it is books and graphic novels. And then it goes into hate crimes, displays, programs, access, film, other. Wow. Of course. And then here are the trends. Percentage of total titles targeted by pressure group decision makers from 2001 to 2024. It was 2005, 6%, jumps up to 14%, 2015, 2020, 25%, now 72%. It's crazy. So if you want to read through all of this report, again, will be linked. This is by the American Library Association. So then the last thing I wanted to go through was a list when I was just Googling, and it was most banned books of the 2024-2025 school year. So it had some different titles than the American Library Association. I don't know. I've never read A Clockwork Orange, and that's on me, but that was banned. It's a dystopian satire that depicts a world where the teen creates mayhem before undergoing aversion therapy to curb his violent tendencies. Of course, I've heard of it, never read it. Breathless by Jennifer Niven, a coming-of-age love story. They probably think if there's any kind of sexual content in it, that is bad. Sold, that was on the ALA list. Late Night at the Telegraph Club. That, I think, oh, here we go. Because lesbian, oh my gosh. Obviously, Sarah Janet is on here. Crank, which we saw on the other list. Forever by Judy Blume. It's been a target for 50 years. But she wrote it because her daughter wanted to read something where kids could have sex without either of them having to die. You know? So, of course, they don't want that. Again, we see the perks of being a wallflower. Wicked. I did not know. I've heard that there's some wild things in the books. I've never read them. I only seen like the musical and then obviously now the movie. But I was not aware of that. All Boys Aren't Blue, obviously. Damsel by Elena K. Arnold. I haven't heard of this. A dark fairy tale where a damsel is rescued by a fierce dragon or from a dragon by a handsome prince. There's probably sexual content that they think. The Duff, Designated Ugly Fat Friend. I've never read that one. Again, it's probably, what? Sexual content. 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult. Interesting. Since this is about the moments leading up to and devastating aftermath of a school shooting, huh? That seems very relevant. Interesting. A Jennifer L. Armentrout. Again, it's probably because there's some sex in there. And then there's more, like We Saw the Bluest Eye. Oh, wow. George R. Martin. I'm not shocked, but it just is like, I don't know how they come across these things. Sarah J. Maas on here. The Handmaid's Tale, of course, that would be. Some of these I haven't heard of. I don't know what The Haters is or Identical. A lot of Ellen Hopkins seems to be on here. The Kite Runner is banned. Okay. What? Of course, The Hate You Give being banned does not shock to me, of course. Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. Why are we? A Stolen Life by J.C. Dugard, her memoir about her being kidnapped and held by these crazy people for all those years. Why is that banned? 13 Reasons Why. Kind of not shocked. This is kind of an epic love story. More Ellen Hopkins, more Sarah J. Maas. Water for Elephants? What Girls Are Made Of. And of course there's more, because these are just the top ones. The problem is that this says PEN America has documented nearly 23,000 book bans in public schools nationwide since 2021, a number never before seen in the life of any living American. So I just think it's good to be aware of these things. And I am not someone who is like, oh wow, getting your book banned is so cool because it means your sales are going to go up. Like, no, we shouldn't be banning books. Censorship bad. Like, how did we not learn that? But I think it's good to be aware, you know, of the ones that are challenged and see just the absurdity of what is happening across the country, and especially the increase in the last 5 years. And of course, we know why. So support your local library if you are able, but I just thought it'd be good to just bring attention to it and just be aware. I think to say we're in unprecedented times is, does that even have weight anymore? Like, censorship should not be taken lightly. Not this kind, also not the kind that we sometimes see on the internet of, I better not see you reading this book. If I see you read, like, you have the right, if you see somebody reading something you don't like, to not follow them, but to tell people you shouldn't read this book, like, not in just like, oh, I thought this book was so terrible, don't waste your time. Like, do not read this book. Friends, let's not do that. So, happy Banned Books Week. I really need the Censorship episode 1984 on a sweatshirt, and I have to figure that out. I'm gonna send a letter to somebody. I will pay a pretty coin for it because it is so 1984. It's whack. Everyone should have books and have access to books. That's all I got. So, have you read any of these, or do you have any on your TBR that you would like to read soon? There are many that I am interested to read, including All Boys Aren't Blue. I really want to read The Clockwork Orange. I feel like that's just something I should have read a long time ago. So anyway, tell me your thoughts down below, and thanks for watching. Stay blessed, hydrated, moisturized, and sunscreen. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.